Everybody, welcome to the holiday version of your Danville District 118 School Board meeting. We are out of closed session, back in open session, and I would entertain a motion for student discipline.
Mr. President, I move that we uphold the findings of the board in student case numbers 2220, 1425, 1526, 1627, and 1728.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion, a second. Roll call vote, please.
Elder Parks?
Yes.
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 Abstain.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, motion passes 6-0, one abstention. Thank you. That brings us to our consent agenda. No changes? Correct?
No changes.
Good, I would entertain a motion for the approval of the consent agenda.
Move approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second.
I have a question.
Please.
Thank you. Dr. Geddes, I had asked this before, some concern about the attendance numbers. The differences in the last couple of years is shown on that chart. And I asked, and particularly if we ever have to consider virtual again, having a plan in place that we know where kids are. And I would, again, like to have an idea about, if we can, we surely must be able to find an idea about where those kids have gone. They go to parochial schools, they go back to the city. Can we further the discussion about that?
Sure, and I can actually bring, when you complete a withdrawal form, it tells, like most times, they tell us where they're going, so I can work with the team and get a summary.
That'd be great, thank you. I would
Yep.
really appreciate that.
Okay, any other comments, questions? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Easton?
Yes.
Mrs. Terry?
Yes.
Elder Parks?
Yes.
Pastor Miller?
Yes.
Mrs. Schrader?
Yes.
Mrs. Power?
Yes.
Dr. Aston?
Yes, motion passes 7-0. That is a good idea, though, finding out an update of like tracking where everybody goes. More information, the better. Okay, that brings us to, should be, as I scroll down here, public comments.
Mrs. Fowler? Thank you, Tom.
And reminded, 5 minutes, and we'll give you a little heads up.
Got it.
Yeah, thank you. That's just for everybody. I wasn't just saying that for you. So.
I got you. Good evening, board, Dr. Geddes, and District 118 family. I'm Stacey Scholars, and I am the proud principal of Mark Didman Elementary School. We love the opportunity to come up and brag about our school every chance we get, so that is what I'm here for tonight. I just wanted to let you all know that at Mark Didman, we have taken it as our focus for the next semester to improve our family involvement and give our families every opportunity to be involved with our kiddos and help us succeed academically.
That's okay. I got
One
it.
of the
I know
things
what I
that's
did.
exciting for us is that we just put out a parent survey to ask our parents kind of what involvement they have in the school and what any barriers might be to that involvement. So we are able to address that. And with that, we've kind of come up with some ideas already. One of the things we'll be implementing in January is a tutoring session, one night a week in the evenings, that allows our parents to come in with the student. They have to sign up an RSVP and all those good things, but providing an expert for that grade level, and the parents and the students receive the tutoring together. So that's one of the things we're working on organizing.
Thank you.
And so just helping to improve our academic success with the parents. So that's one of the things we're super excited about, but also we are trying to collaborate, which I have a meeting today, with David Groves and the Lordly Fellowship, the Booster program, and some of his students, also scholars, are going to come over and help us out with that and some of our after-school programming that we are planning. And also joining our high school students that are already coming over with the athletic program but also having some of those scholars come over and read to our kids throughout the day, and also just meet with them in some of their lunch groups and different things to help have our kids mentoring our kids. So that is super valuable for us also. We did just have a hot chocolate with Santa event. It was a drive-through event, and we had over 200 people participate in that over at Mark Denman. I would like to give a little shout out to Ed and Sherry Shirley from Shirley Custom Lights in Georgetown. They volunteered their time and also their displays for our event, and it went over smashingly well. Our parents and our kiddos, they were taking pictures and they were doing like the Facebook Live as they drove through. So it was a lot of fun to see them, and at the end they all received a little bag of hot chocolate and cookies, and we had Santa at the end that they were able to take some pictures with from their homes to do it safely. And then also, I asked any of my parents if they were available, they could come to the board meeting and share the great things that we do at Mark Denman. But I did have some submitted to me to read. One of our parents, Amanda, said Mark Denman is the best. My kids have been there since first grade, and we've never had any problems, and everyone is very nice. So we would invite you to come out, and we'll prove it to you, how nice we are and how great we are doing out at Mark Denman. Thank you.
Nice job.
Very nice.
Bertrand Russell said, "Men are born ignorant, not stupid. They are made stupid by education." A great example of such programming is the mistaken belief that we live in a democracy. America has never been a democracy. It's a republic, where a select few have been given power to manage our public affairs, and therefore us. The primary form of social organization in our republic is the parliamentary process, wherein a civil form of mob rule is achieved through acquiescence and the submission of others. It is what drove our colonial past, inspired our industrial revolutions, and today allows a handful of people to control vast portions of our world. And like all slaves, we are nearly helpless to the abuse we endure. The parliamentary process is by its very nature adversarial, designed to allow serious social combat, including character assassinations in achieving and maintaining dominant control. There is no better example of brute force and manipulative powers of a parliamentary board than what we witnessed in the November meeting. A concerned citizen wanting public conversation and disclosure of the educational materials and lesson plans being used in District 118 CRT curriculum spoke out and was instantly marginalized, asking why parents were not broadly informed of the critical public meeting. The gallery was asked if they knew of the meeting. With the choir assembled, they shouted hallelujah with outstretched hands on cue, affirming that they, mostly all staff members, had known about the meeting. When asked why meeting information was missing from the school's Facebook page, the blunt reply was that it was on the school's web page calendar. Like all great domination strategies that use the divide and conquer process, the challengers was culled from the herd by being told that a private conference would be allowed in addressing the voiced concerns, thus dispatching the rebel who dared challenge their totalitarian authority. That exchange alone screams of tyranny when District 118 citizens are barred from sharing with each other the most critical things in their lives, simply because Facebook would censor the kinds of discussions that would result from parents talking to each other. A manipulation of the masses through technocracy that will not tolerate any public sharing of personal experience and factual information that does not conform to the narrative, since it weakens their control over us. Please do not think that what you are doing is widely supported, just because only a few have been brave enough to come here and in public challenge your rule. You, or anyone else, has no idea what the public thinks, because what you think has now been weaponized to inflict escalating penalization, and most people are pain adverse. Have any of you watched any of my previous comments? Maybe shared them with friends on how bad or good the words were? The Roman model of enslavement has the slaves managing the other slaves, a working model that is still employed by today's industrial and political systems. where levels of control, controlling boards and management groups construct a pyramid matrix that allows for infinite control. Throughout history, mankind has always been enslaved. To some cultures, it was a way of life. To others, a hidden hand that has them believing that they are a free people, the kind of people who are the most enslaved. The plantation system we still live under uses boards like this one to keep the farm working as intended, to manage at the lower level the petty details and carrying out the orders from above. At last month's meeting, you went ad nauseum, detailing all the money suckled from the proverbial corporate cow, along with the rules that dictate how and what you do. It was a wonderful validation of my comments that evening, and I thank you for that. To institute and manage a wide-scale harm to others is considered a crime against humanity. The list of 47 scientific papers given to you over 4 months ago has now surpassed 55, all showing that masks do nothing to alter the spread of any virus, with most also outlining the long-term, life-threatening effects to the body from wearing a mask. Your continued involvement in this crime, which is destroying the lives of thousands, will eventually be accounted for. And those who wear the mask of sanity and manipulate those around them through charismatic and brute force control, your mask is slipping as more and more people see the reptilian mind involved.
Mr. Butler.
Good evening, Dr. Geddes, Board Chairman Ashton, and to the rest of the board. Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. It's been a long time coming, and so I am here tonight. I'm sure that most of you know what we do within our community, and so we have a health program that was funded, that we applied for a grant. You know, the virus, is serious, and it's taking billions of people out of here. And so we were privileged to have a navigating program to educate people on the virus as well as the vaccine. And so I'm here tonight to introduce my team. And so they're here. So we're doing what we can. We have different vaccine clinics and trying our best to get as many people vaccinated as possible, so that we all could get rid of these masks. I mean, I know that there's a whole lot of pretty faces and good-looking faces in here, but it's hard to tell, with these masks on. And so our goal is to try to get as many people vaccinated as possible, so that that we can get rid of these masks. So at this time, I would like to introduce the young lady on the end is Jasmine Gonzalez, and so she's one of our Spanish-speaking young ladies. And I'm here to let you know that we do have a diverse group and of Caucasians, Hispanic, African Americans, white. And so that's what I like to be surrounded by, good-spirited people. I have my supervisor, that she supervised my navigators, Marianne McCullough, and she's also a nurse out at the VA, and registered LPN, okay. I get them mixed up sometimes. Yeah, okay, and I'm also surrounded by a pastor, Pastor Hall. He's an inspirational to me, and I have my financial consultant, Miss Gail Brandon. So she controls the money and tell me how to spend it and when to spend it and what I can't spend. And so I like to spend the money on my people. Everybody that knows me, I love people. I love my children, and I do whatever I can to keep us all happy and safe. I have another pastor that's not here yet, And Pastor Crider, Norville Crider, he's one of my navigators as well. And I also have another navigator, so she broke a kneecap. And so she's in recovery. And I still got her working. So she's working from home on her computer. They're doing our resource requests. That the health department as well as the IDPH send us resource requests. And what those resource requests is people that are homebound with COVID and can't get out of their houses. But then my navigators get their name, the number, address, and then so we go out and we service them. We call them and ask them what they need, and they might need groceries, they might need medicine, they might need female, male, commodities, and we do their shopping for them. And that's what we do. I don't care what time it is, the day or night. If they need us, so we come. And I'm trying to talk fast there because I might lose my supervisor there. So she get calls all day, and she have to go out and do a resource request. I have another young lady. Her name is Latricia Caston. She is my resource Salesforce coordinator. And so she get all the resources there from the IDPH, Illinois State Health Department, and through the Vermilion County Health Department. And she gets them, she sends them to my navigators. Say, hey, this is what you're supposed to do, and so they do it. Now we cover the whole Vermilion County, not only Danville, but the whole Vermilion County.
That's fine.
Oh man, is my time up? Oh, come on, Keisha. I am so sorry. But if I can have one of my navigator's minutes, y'all appreciate it.
We're not in Congress.
Yeah, they ain't on the list, okay. All right, then I will end it up. Also, I have some, a kit that once we found out that a family has, is quarantined, this is a kit that we take to them. It has our phone number on it to where that they can contact us at this number, and then my supervisor will get on the call, and we will go and service them. We also getting ready to do some things with
Mr. Butler,
as well.
we have to be fair and consistent.
Yeah,
Look, as he's walking away.
Talk as you walk. Talk as you walk. Yeah, there you go.
So, I have a kit to give to, if y'all know of anyone, some people is private. And they need a kit, to cleaning, bleach and hand sanitizer, gloves and all that stuff in the bag.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Wright.
Bleaching her clothes.
Good evening, Board. Dr. Geddes. My name is Chris Rice. I'm the principal at Mead Park Elementary School. Just wanted to take a few minutes this evening to recognize a few of our partners in education we've been working with at Mead Park. We're very fortunate to work in a district where not only do our staff kind of rise up to support the needs of our students and parents, but we have some amazing individuals and organizations within our community that are doing a lot as well. So I wanted to recognize a few of them I've had the privilege of working with the last few weeks. Start off with the Danville Fire Department, who recently provided Mead Park, I know some other schools in the district, hats, coats, and gloves for our students, just to ensure that students did not have to worry about that necessity this time of year, so very much appreciated. We had some donations from Casey's General Store a few weeks ago. They came out to our school, brought boxes of hand sanitizer for our students in classrooms, as well as umbrellas for those students that are walking home or going out to buses. So I appreciate that. Monday, I had the privilege of working with a group of individuals, starting with Pam Sexton and her friends at the Second Church of Christ and the Women's Book Club. They came out to our school on Monday and had organized books by grade level. They had given us enough books to provide to every student in our building to take 2 books home for over winter break, as well as kind of replenish our library supply at Mead Park. Ended up being a little over 800 books that they donated to our school. So, knowing the cost of books and what they do, very, very appreciative. Last but not least, a few weeks ago, I had a call from Anthony Nixon and Lou Reed with Vermilion Chevrolet, and asked if I would stop by and meet with them in their office. And I thought, well, these guys really go above and beyond to try to sell me a car. Ask me to come out there. But I went out and met with them and had a great conversation. And they said that they really understand the needs of our community and the students of Mead Park, some of the struggles that we face, our families face, and they wanted to partner with us to make a difference. And then at that time, presented me a check for $4,700
Wow.
to work with our students. So, it's to send a thank you card or just to say thank you sometimes isn't adequate enough. So I just want to take a few minutes this evening. We have a lot of great, like I said, individuals and organizations, and we appreciate everything they do for us. Thank you.
Great.
Very nice.
And that is our Illinois Principal of the Year.
Is that it? Okay. Thank you for comments. Brings us to item number 6, our DHS graduation date as of right now. Because this year we're holding you to it.
All right, good evening, board,
Right.
Dr. Geddes, and guests, and community. I'm Ms. Cherry, the principal of Danville High School. We all know that during COVID, there were a lot of things that we had to experience, but there were some good things that came out of COVID as well. And one of those good things was changing how we did graduation. And for the first time in many, many years, last year, we had graduation at Danville High School on the football field. It was an amazing time for our students. It went very, very well. The only thing we learned from the experience was to push our time back an hour later because it was very, very warm. And so we talked with our students, met with our student advisory board, and it was unanimous from our students, and parents were very pleased. We discussed it in our Viking Roundtable last Tuesday. And so as the principal of Danville High School, I am recommending that the class of 2022 graduation ceremony be held at Danville High School Saturday, June 4th, 2022 at 6 p.m. on the Nettie White Soul football field. The rain date will be Sunday, June 5th, 2022 at 3 p.m. at the David S. Palmer Arena. Thank you for your consideration.
I think it's a great idea.
Emotional.
Yeah. Well, I would love to approve this if someone would make a motion to approve it.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, and we have the motion and a second. Now we can say something about it. I think it's awesome. I agree with you. Moving the time back was awesome. I think you got everything right. All we have to do is have the weather cooperate, but it will, because it's the most wonderful time of the year. Well, that's now. I'm sorry. So I'm caught up in the holiday thing, so I'm excited. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Sharon?
Yes.
Mrs. Schroeder?
Yes.
Elder Park?
Yes.
Pastor Miller?
Yes.
Mrs. Powers?
Yes.
Dr. Easton?
Yes.
Dr. Ashton?
Yes, motion passes 7-0. Thank you very much. Yes, now let's go to a high school security update.
Yes. Our Danville High School Safety Committee made recommendations to the Board of Education. I'm going to discuss those recommendations briefly and give the board an opportunity to ask any questions. But I would like to say that our committee has been meeting since June 8th of this school year. We knew that transitioning our students back was going to be different than it's ever been as a result of COVID. And we felt like we needed to have some protocols in place at the beginning that we could refer to, depending on how things went in school. And I would first like to recognize our committee members who have been working all year to make things possible, and Matt Harmless, Marla Makowitz, Danielle Llewellyn, our SRO, Jacob Brett, my assistant principal, Chris Moeller, John Greenhall, Amanda Campbell, another assistant principal, Stacy Lomax, Amanda Edwards, Greg Wagers, Ricky Hoskins, Andrew Wilson, Kayla Overstreet, and myself. At this June 8th board meeting, we came up with the recommendations that you see before you that came before the board several weeks ago. The focus at that time was the Yonge pouch system, the building entry and exit, which was more or less focusing on the alarm doors, because at that time, the alarms had been turned off on the doors, and we knew we needed to get those turned back on. The positive attendance through Skyward, so we could better track our students going in and out of the classroom and know exactly where they were at any given time. Building security, which we discussed were having metal detectors, being able to wand students upon entrance to school in the mornings, and then having vape detectors in the restrooms so we can know when students are vaping, because we started the year off with a higher incidence of that as well. And then security cameras, we had several cameras that were older cameras and they weren't digital, and it was very difficult to see things happening during that time. And then building entry, clear backpacks and visitor entrance, because prior to COVID, we were using the Raptor technology, which allows us to scan an individual's ID, and then we get a printout immediately to know whether that visitor is a safe person to allow entrance into the building. And during COVID, obviously, we didn't have a need for those things because we were remote. And so we wanted to make sure that we got all of that technology up and working so that we were providing a safe environment. So those are the things that we discussed with the board. I want to give a little update tonight on how things are going. So the Yonder pouches, that is something that we will continue to discuss because we want to make sure that we have parent input and have that communication ahead of time and determine the best practice for implementing the Yonder pouch, because we believe at the start of the year, it's real important to have everyone on board. As far as the building entry, the alarm doors, all doors that are currently alarmed are up and working. We have identified additional doors that we feel we need to get alarms on that are less accessible, but we still have students finding their way out those doors. Skyward positive attendance, we're continuing to have discussions. It will take some training and with Cheryl Brummett to determine the best practice and the most cost-effective process, because it is very expensive to put the detectors in those classrooms and to have the students scanning in and out. Metal detectors, We are waiting on the final cost information, based on the type of detector that we will, determine is best for not just Danville High School, and because, we know that Northridge is going to be looking at implementing some of these things as well. We want to have those conversations with them because it is much more cost-effective to buy all of them at one time, because you get a cheaper price when you buy more. And so we want to make sure we have that conversation with Northridge, and then we purchase those items all together. We have begun the wanding process with our students. We began wanding students on November 29th. We started with all of our tardy students first. Every student that came in late was wanded. In January, we will begin the process of wanding all students on random days. And the smart vape detectors are in the process of being ordered and hopefully will be installed over the Christmas break. Security cameras, we met with Mr. Truex and Seth and discussed the replacement of all the non-digital cameras, and they discussed with us that it would be a process of putting those in. We would do it at different times, but we already have additional outside cameras that we were discussing today because they're so much more clear and have allowed us to be able to see things that are occurring outside the building much more clearly. And so Mr. Truex has already been on that and has started installation of those cameras. One of the things we discussed with Mr. Truex was moving some of the cameras that we currently have in the building to better locations because we have less incident where some of them are occurring now, particularly on the second floor, and moving those cameras to a better location so we can see things more clearly. And then clear backpacks. The backpacks will be distributed when we come back from Christmas break at the end of the semester. We don't want to give the backpacks to students who are graduating early because they will be gone. And so we're gonna wait until the week of finals to distribute those clear backpacks to all students that will be in the building and those students that will arrive new second semester. And so we're excited about that, and the Raptor technology is all up and running, and that's how parents and visitors are allowed in the building through the clock tower entrance. That is all I have. If you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
Can you explain the Yonder pouch? What is that exactly, and how do you use it?
Okay, well, the Yonder pouch is, if you recall, because Mrs. Howard, you were in my interview the year I applied for this position as principal. That is one of the things that I researched prior to the interview process because I knew that cell phones was a huge issue for students at Danville High School. It was a problem taking away from instruction and teachers being able to teach without students having their phones. And so Yonder is it's a program that allows students to be responsible for their own phones, which is one of the things that we liked about it. Students don't turn in their phone. They have locking mechanisms that they put their phones in a pouch, and then they're able to lock them up for the entire day. And then at the end of the day, there would be these locking mechanisms. I think they look like little boxes that the kids can put their pouch on, and then it unlocks it. So the student is responsible, but they can't access their phones during school time. Because clearly, the ownership and education handbook says that all cell phones should be turned off and put away. And that is something that we're not seeing. But the important thing is that students will be responsible for their own phones. And we don't have the risk of taking someone's cell phone and not being, and something happening to it. They would have their own phone, but they would just be in a pouch and locked away. And I can tell you that Peoria is using the Yonder program at their school. Yonder recommends that it's a full school implementation and not just like a intervention type program. The program has not been successful that way, and their recommendation is that you have a full school implementation.
I've just had some students that have contacted me with a concern that if there's an emergency, that they would not have access to their phone in an emergency. And these are generally good, responsible students, I think. And that's their big concern, that they wouldn't have access in the event of an emergency. And I could see that fear, especially in the world we live in today. So how would you address that with kids?
Well, most of the time, when situations happen, like if we have an emergency situation like that, we go on a soft or a hard lockdown, students are in a classroom, every classroom would have one of the unlocking boxes in that classroom, and I would assume that at that time, we would allow students to unlock that, but I think about years ago when that wasn't an issue, and, what we do now when students have concerns, we ask that the parent contact the school or the student come to the office and ask to contact their parent that way. But if you're referring to like a situation where someone came in the building and, it was more serious, then I think that is the best way to address it. Like, they would be in a secured location and that teacher would be responsible for making that call.
So, Ms. Cherry, are you saying that now when they put the phone in the Yonder and they lock it, they keep it?
They keep their phone.
Okay, all right.
Yes, they do.
Okay, that was my question.
Yes.
My second question is your ID machine fixed? It's been broken for a while.
Well, it's
Or is-
not technically broken. We are waiting on the merger of the software when we went, when they did the cloud, they're trying to get that worked out with the company that is responsible for that. Yeah.
So, yeah, we've been working with, since we went to IS Corp, we used to have everything on premise. And now that we work with IS Corp, we have to contact them. So because of the ID system, it's actually working with two other parties. So it's IS Corp, School Technologies, which houses the ID system, and us. And we're trying to all get together on that same page. And it's been an issue, but I think we do have, actually, I was going to talk about that today. I think that we might have a temporary badge working. And I know that Ryan was talking to DM today, so hopefully that temporary badge can be fixed until I can get hold of IS Corp.
And IS Corp is what?
IS Corp is Skyward.
It's
So that's where we have Skyward now. And that data syncs with ID image so that you can print the picture badge with the data. So that, does that make sense?
Yeah. Thank you.
Ms. Cherry, I have a couple questions. First, I think this is a great presentation you've done, and you're doing a great job at Danville High School. I mean that, so thank you. The questions I have probably relate to the fact that I work in a prison, so you'll have to forgive me. The door alarms. Is there an alarm for a door ajar as well? so that you'll be alarmed when the doors are propped open?
Anytime the door is propped open, yes.
Okay, for all the doors?
Skip?
Right, Skip, you wanna talk about that?
The door alarms are simply magnetic. So anytime that is broken, or that field is broken, it automatically goes off. A few years ago, when we first put them in the high school, it was the first hour or two, and there were several instances where they caught children trying to leave the school. They work very well. I'm not sure, I don't have a count of exactly how many we have in the high school at this time. We also have Northbridge Junior High. But, I think that they're very loud, believe me. If someone's going out that door, you'll hear it.
Will it time out, or will it be left on until someone comes to the door? That's my question. The what? It stays on? Okay. Thank you. The second question is the vape detectors. Are they silent alarms, or are they loud alarms in the bathroom?
Well, I'm not real sure about the vape detectors, but like that's something Mr. Harmless researched, but I think it's more digital. That's my understanding, that it's more digital and that we are alerted that way.
It's not gonna be like, is it gonna be you're in the bathroom and you can't hear when you get out after it goes off?
Jacoby?
My understanding of the vape detectors are they're silent.
Silent, okay.
Right.
They're silent. They're basically, you get a broadcast over a digital signal to your computer that says this alarm's been tripped on this floor in this bathroom, which allows school personnel to go up there unbeknownst to the student who may be in the bathroom vaping.
Okay.
And that was what we liked about it, was the fact that it wasn't going to disrupt the learning environment, but yet we can address a vaping issue on any floor.
And then the last question, logistically, I'm sure you figured out, metal detectors are only as good as the people watching them. So is that going to be a job for teachers, or who do you expect will be watching those metal detectors?
So we will need additional hall monitors and, to assist us with that. It's not, they don't stay up permanently.
Okay.
Yeah, and the kids, we use the plan is to use the metal detectors when the students enter. And obviously, when students enter late, we will also have them go through. That's the nice thing about the portable ones, they can be pulled out and in. We've also, in honesty, with the numbers that we've been having at sporting events, that is something that we have discussed as well, that we, with them being portable or with people entering through the clock tower, we should be using them at our sporting events as well.
Thank you.
I too would just like to say, I appreciate the update and the amount of time that your committee has put into this. Because I think that it addresses questions that the community at large were having about safety. And, you know, as parents, even just as community members and as board members, being concerned about the safety of all students. And I applaud your committee for what they have done and the types of things that they're looking at. I know I had several calls about the clear book bags, and my answer was, you say you want safety. She's trying to do the best she can. So no, we're not going to be able to satisfy everyone. But what we want to do is make sure that our efforts are known by the community, that we put the safety of all students first. And thank you, Ms. Cherry, your administration, your committee, for doing what you can to make our kids safe and to feel safe, that they can go to school and pay attention in class and not worry about safety. So thank you.
I had a question also, and you might not be the you might not be the person to address it to, Ms. Cherry. One of the things that we discussed when we were setting our board goals last week was increasing the safety in all of our buildings. So what I would like to, I don't know if this is maybe a Dr. Geddes question or a Mr. Truax question, what would be the impact, or how would we look at adding Northridge, or what's perhaps the need for Southview Upper Elementary? What's the need in the other buildings? And maybe we should look at the pricing for some of these things to expand beyond Danville High School, since that's one of the things that we discussed last week as a board.
So we actually have Northridge scheduled to present to us coming up. And thank you, Mr. Truex, we had the safety audit done over almost a year ago. And so we have that on Danville High School and Northridge. Southview is something that we could add to the mix and get that on board as well. So look out, Lindsey Prunkert. Thank you.
I just want to say also that, I just appreciate the board and Dr. Geddes and Dr. Jacoby and Mr. Hart for understanding the importance of this, and not that being proactive takes priority over perception. And I think that is so important. And the biggest concern I've heard from students and parents are the backpacks. And, I will say this, we are understanding, but medically, safety reasons, some of these kids need to take some of the stuff out of their backpacks that they have for a lifetime, being able to walk and have good health, because they are carrying the weight of the world on their backs, and that's not a healthy thing. And they need to start using the lockers again, and putting their books in lockers. And this is an opportunity to take a proactive approach and do what we can to ensure the safety of all students and staff. And I think that once our students get used to it, and I think they'll be okay with that. We had questions about the athletes and the big bags, the softball players. That's just the process. We will just have to check those things as they come in and wand them. We still have our wanding process for those things, and still make sure that we're all secure. And it does take more support. And like everyone else, we are down with our hall monitors but we have wonderful people like Mr. Hoskins, who's sitting over there tonight, that step up. Our behavior interventionist, Taylor Vollmer, has been phenomenal. They make sure that they're going above and beyond their duties to be in places to support us in being able to get our students in the building safely and being able to wand all of our students. So it's a team effort, and this whole committee and all the support of my administration, I can't do what I do without them. And so I applaud the efforts of our Danville High School staff and our students as well.
Are lockers available to every student?
We don't have enough lockers in the building for every student, but some students, they don't, a lot of our classes, they have e-books now, and so they're not carrying as many books. Most of the kids that have the heavy books are dual enrollment and our AP students. But I feel like they should be available to every student.
Is there a rental fee for a locker?
$5 for
They
the
just
lock.
buy the lock, it's $5, I believe.
And Ms. Holloran, that's a great question. You can see on my list, I just put for a to-do for Skip for us to renovate your lockers, bring them up to clean them so that the students will want to use them again.
Thank you.
Great question. So on the list.
We've been there over the years. We've redone them and now redone them. Okay, so thank you for the update. We certainly do appreciate that. This was great. Just want to say that several of us at the school board meeting had gone to several security things. I saw 4. Okay, so a lot of the things that we're doing are across the board. A lot of people are doing, but every one of the presentations says you have to come back and review it. And so this is for the public. This is a work in progress. We have to start. I mean, book bags may or may not work. We're going to find that out. Okay, you know, I don't want someone to say, the book that it may work, may be great, maybe not. We're gonna see. We have to find out something. But the point is, safety is imperative, and safety is really important. And almost every poll, when you ask the community, safety is like one of the first things that comes up every time. So I'm glad we're putting this forward. We're trying. We're going to implement something, but we need to revisit it, make sure that what we're doing is working. And you know, it doesn't have to be by committee. I'm sure we get these things going. So it's just that it's a work in progress, and I'm glad we're starting, and it's exciting. So thank you very, very, very much. Any other questions, comments? No? Thank you. Human Resources, number 8, MOA, DEA, recommendation to approve this.
All right, the first memo I have, there is a change in the date to the last page. Ms. Robinson has those updates for us. This memo is like last year, and it pertains to teachers, and if they are sent home by the district, they would be able to work from home if sent home due to COVID.
Ms. Phelps, can you
Yes.
take your mask off, please?
Yes, I can.
Thank you.
Okay. Want me to repeat myself?
Yes, please.
Okay. Good evening, I'm really fast for Ms. Kirk.
I'm sorry.
Direction, I'll be from this big, so, that's a long time ago, but I'll still answer that, so. This memo is a continuation, it's what we've seen from last year pertaining to teachers. If they are sent home by us due to COVID, this would be allowing the teachers, again, sent home by us, to work from home if they have the internet access. Again, this is what was used last year. It has not been in place for this year. We're looking to recommend it starting January 3rd.
Okay, may I have a motion to approve this?
Motion.
I have a motion, may I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments on this?
I have a couple questions. First of all, thank you for getting this in place. I think it's, and thank you to the DEA, and thank you to the administration, all of you that got this in place. I think it's very important for our teachers to be able to work from home, particularly since vaccinated and unvaccinated teachers are treated differently. I think it allows it gives the best opportunity for our children to be able to be taught by an actual teacher, their own teacher. So thank you for taking care of this. It's important. It starts in January, so we have a semester's worth of teachers that will have had to use their sick leave. Was there any discussion about having this be retroactive to the first of the year so that the fall semester was taken into account?
There was no discussion by the Board of Education. That was a decision you guys would have made. And that wasn't the directive we were given. So if that's something that the board would like to consider, we can certainly change and do so.
Well, this was a conversation that we had. I personally was very insistent that this be put in place in the beginning of the year. And I know that there were a lot of things that were going on, so I'm not placing any blame anywhere. But that is definitely something I would like for us to maybe consider and add to this or make a change.
How would that make it different? I'm struggling to understand.
Because
Yeah,
we had teachers that were COVID positive, sent home from work, asymptomatic, sitting in their houses and unable to teach. Even though it was actually my perception that had been in place. So I was very surprised when I had teachers concerned about that. So we had students that could have been taught by their own teacher virtually, which is what this provides for. We did it last year for the full year. We are doing it in the spring, but for a semester, we just didn't get it taken care of. Either we didn't want it, or we wanted it and it just didn't get done. And without placing any blame, what I would like to consider is that those teachers that this affected, that they would not have to use their sick days, since the intention, at least I thought, was that this be in place at the beginning of the year. Can it be made retroactive? And I don't even know the policy on that, so.
Well, this one actually says that the consideration is given if they teach. And so because that was not in place, they did not teach. So the board would need to give us direction on how they would like us to proceed, because now you are requiring them to teach. And we did not going previously.
Correct. So for the fall semester, they didn't teach because they had no option.
How many people does that even affect? Do we know?
Quite a few. I could get the numbers to you tomorrow when I speak with our code
When you say
tracker.
quite a few, do you mean like 50, 20? 100?
Oh, wow. I mean, more than that.
Okay.
More than 20 or more than 50?
More, I would say more around the 50 mark than the 20, if you're speaking only teachers.
And are we talking about teachers that are not vaccinated? Since my colleague here seems to think that we treat them differently. That's kind of interesting because I've never heard that. But I would say that this would be something that goes back to us and the board for us to discuss rather than here tonight, because I think we all have a different understanding as to what this was supposed to say in the first place, and I never heard that we were supposed to be doing that, so.
Could you clarify for me, a teacher gets sent home because of a COVID positive status, they're asymptomatic, so they can, in this agreement, starting in January, teach from home, if all those other things are.
That's what this is stating, yes.
That's right. So somebody is COVID positive symptomatic and not well, they have to use their sick days then?
That's
Because
what
they're
this will
ill?
state.
That's what this says?
They're unable to teach.
Okay.
And the difference was last year, when this was originally adopted, the government had in place that we had COVID days. And we could give them that time free of having to use their time. That is not in place for us now. What is in debate or for debate, it's been approved by both houses, is that everyone, retro, will be given sick days. And so we don't know where that stands right now.
I want to make
It's
sure.
a little different because of the legislation that was in place when we adopted this last year, so.
I want to make sure I understand, though. This is an agreement that the union's trying to make with the board, so they've agreed to this already?
They have seen this, yes.
And they
Because we
agreed-
were
and
in
they-
negotiations with it.
And they agreed to it?
I'm sorry?
They agreed to it?
They agreed to it. I know Ms. Hightower, there was some conversation about the date. I'm sure she would love for her people for it to be retro. She's the union president.
But they agreed to the document that's in front of us now.
Yes, but I'm saying, I am sure Ms. Hightower would love to see that be retro. So I don't want to speak for her because the change is that you're saying this date forward, which is different from probably what she wants. Your difficulty will be, how do you go back and now make the teachers teach when you didn't in the past? So if you would like to pull this off and go back into negotiations about it, we can.
And the thing that the reason that piece of this even came to my understanding is that the original draft that we had here had the date of July 1st, which was the beginning of the semester. And so the one that we just received has the beginning of next semester. So we did catch up we have a significant group of teachers that were caught up in not able to do something for their students that they would have done if we had had this in place. And so if you collect those numbers, I would love to also see how many students were affected, how many days students did not have instruction from their teacher where we could have provided it if we'd had our ducks in a row here.
Let me add.
Wait,
let me just add. The reason this had July 1, and there's no contention here, the reason this had July 1, because we started negotiating this back when we were doing the contract. That's why it had July 1. The change is that it was submitted and we submitted to the DEA, they made some changes to it. You rejected those changes and we sent it back to her on November 1st. End of November, Ms. Hightower sent me a note to say we would like this, we would agree to your terms. That's how we got to this date. So that keeps moving the ball, but we started this back in July, which is why it had the July date. So I wanted to clear that up.
Great. So, and I would like to interject. I think it would be prudent for us to pass this now because we're looking to put this in place so we don't have the same thing happen again.
Yes.
And if you need to have a further discussion, have the further discussion, but at least don't throw this out. We're here on the
Yes.
precipice to put the agreement in place and have everything correctly.
To go.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I usually don't like to speak, but I just did. Any further comments?
Well, the only thing I'm gonna say is the state's probably gonna mandate us to do something later anyway, so might as well move forward with this one.
Maybe.
Maybe, because it does have a lot of opposition from ISA and IPA, so.
Don't count on it.
The only other comments that I would make is that I would like for our board to discuss with the DEA the possibility of making this retroactive in a different memorandum for those teachers and those students that missed out through no fault of their own. Because especially since we were in the process of discussing it and it just didn't get resolved. It is not the fault of the students, certainly. The other thing is, in the third paragraph of here, and I've made this point more than one time. First page, third paragraph. We are talking about executive orders by the governor of the state of Illinois. We've had many people come here. This, Ms. Papp, this is not you. This is not our
This doesn't bother me
administration.
at all. You
But
go
I
ahead.
do feel the need to say it because we've had many people come here in public comments and speak about the fact that this is kind of been put in place by what many see as government overreach. There are there are states of emergency in our state that started in March of 2020 and just every 30 days they've just redone the state of emergency, and that's come from our governor's office, which is what gives the authority to be able to kind of to lead by fiat or to lead this way, and our legislature has not put that in check. So that is a problem that many people have talked about. I personally have a problem with it myself. It is not going to stop me from voting for this, even though it's in here, because I believe our teachers need to be able to have those days. But I did not want this to go forward without me just speaking to that, because we've had many passionate discussions about that here, and it needed to be said.
We've also had many passionate insults about what we follow because of rules that have been put out. We've been called names, we've been insulted, we've been called slaves. And so just because people come and say things, do not make them true. We are required to follow the law. You may not agree with it. You may not like it. And you're saying you don't. But I believe that we must follow rules that are set out, because that's how we teach our kids.
Okay.
There is a right way to do everything. And I think that we're doing it by putting this in here.
Okay, and nothing else, roll call vote, please.
Yes.
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 Yes, motion passes 7-0. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Substitute
The
pay.
next one is me again. What I have for you tonight for a recommendation is the substitute pay rate for teaching assistants, secretaries, and LRCs. Starting in January 1st actually, a few days from now, the minimum wage will go up to $12. We need to meet that $12 minimum wage. I'm proposing that we not only meet that wage, but we go back and retro pay from the start of this school year for the rest of the year for our teaching assistant substitutes. our secretary substitutes, and our LRC substitutes. That would put them at making $12 an hour as a teaching assistant, $87 a day, as secretary substitute or LRC at $96 per day. And again, I'd like to take this back to the beginning of the school year. And there's also a chart that shows the minimum wage, how it will increase $1 all the way through 2025.
So move.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay.
Ms. Peps, do you have an idea about what that will cost us to do retroactive pay?
Actually, Debbie Locke was working on that today. There's not a lot. Sadly, we have not had a lot of substitutes. We just don't have them. And the ones that are working at a long-term rate are much higher than this rate already. So it's very few, but I will get that for you.
But it's not a.
It's not,
huge amount.
it's,
Okay.
we've made very, very.
It's a small number, a
Very,
small
very
pool, and we're only increasing it by.
Yeah, those that
Then
have
I'm okay
worked
with
are
that.
already on our on-rate pay and they're making more than this anyways. This is very minimal.
Okay, I'm all right with that.
Okay.
So this is to set up, this is to be in compliance with the minimum wage requirements starting in January?
Yep, correct, yes.
So we're going backwards just to retroactively to be gracious?
Correct, for the whole school year. It's very minimal. I think one of them is $12 more. It's a very, very small amount.
Okay,
But still, thank you for that. So.
roll call vote, please.
Mr. Howard?
Yes.
Hold it, on substitute pay, raising substitute pay. Thank you.
Mr. Howard?
Yes.
Mrs. Strader?
Yes.
Brother Park?
Yes.
Mr. Eaton?
Yes.
Pastor Miller?
Yes.
Mrs. Sears?
Yes.
Dr. Beck?
Yes, motion passes 7-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
E-learning. Curriculum, as you're coming up. Okay. What do you want to say? Do you want to start us out?
I think you get to.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a public hearing.
Yes.
You wanna watch me have a public hearing?
Yes.
Okay, this isn't gonna be exciting. This is about we're gonna have a public hearing on the e-learning program. I love it when they give us a script because you have to follow this. We will now open the public hearing regarding the Danville School District 118 e-learning program. It's open. Are there any questions or comments about this plan? Seeing none, if there are no further questions or comments, I now declare this public hearing closed. And we will move on to action item 9A, which is approval of the e-learning program.
9B.
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 We have a motion?
So move.
I have a
Second.
motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any questions or comments?
I think it was down. Elder Parks first,
Elder
Pastor
Parks
Miller
first.
second.
Okay. Okey-doke.
Miss Button, you gave a great presentation twice about it.
Yes,
So
that's right.
we won't beat you up with questions.
I think the board is okay, so, may I have roll call vote, please?
Pastor Miller?
Yes.
Mrs. Strader?
Yes.
Mr. Eaton?
Yes.
Mrs. Sears?
Yes.
Mrs. Howard?
Yes.
Brother Park?
Yes.
Dr. Beck?
Yes, motion passes 7-0. Thank you very much. That was your easiest night there, wasn't it?
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Yes. That brings us to item number 10. MOU on preschool expansion grant with Maria Chris Stanek, with a lot of letters.
Good evening, Board of Education and Dr. Geddes and community. I'm Kelly Truitt, the Director of Educational Support Programs. I am here tonight to recommend that we approve and partner with a mental health consultation for preschool expansion staff members. That would include teachers, assistants, parent educators, the instructional coach, and administrator. And it's our person is an early childhood mental health consultant, Maria Chris Stanek. She will be providing services to them up to $5,250. For the staff, this is a requirement due to the fact that the preschool expansion program has the highest risk students, and sometimes they need extra support.
Okay. All right. Do we have a motion to approve this?
I move approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. We have any questions or comments?
This would be like an employee assistance program.
Pretty much.
Narrow.
It's required with McV. It's also required with Prevention Initiative and now Preschool Expansion, which is the program at Edison, the full-day program. It is paid for with grant funds, and Preschool for All does not have this. So yes, it is an employee assistance.
Okay.
I wish we could get it for
Everybody.
everybody.
Keep working on it.
I will.
No prohibition that it couldn't happen virtually?
Pardon?
This person can do this virtually, or do they have to see it on?
Yes, they can do it virtually.
Very good.
And the staff can request it, like, it's up to 42 hours.
Mhm.
We had a hard time finding someone, to be honest, so that's why this wasn't with the previous memos.
Okay. I'm glad you found it.
All right. This is on the MOU for the preschool expansion grant with Maria Kristanek. Roll call vote, please.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, motion passes 7-0. Thank you
Thank you very much.
Brings us to business and finance, the tax levy. It's our business. And we have a levy recommendation.
Good evening, Board. Dr. Geddes, Danville 118 family. I am Narcissus Rankin, Director of Business and Finance. I will give you guys just a little reminder from last month. So the calendar year tax rate for 2020 in the district's tax area was, the tax rate was 5.3796%. The Supervisor of Assessments is estimating that 2021's tax rate will increase by approximately 3.189% for the 2021 calendar year. And so this evening, I'm recommending that we levy for a 4.99% increase in the restricted funds and levy for the same dollar amount as last year in the non-restricted funds. And I'm also recommending that we abate taxes as we did last year.
Okay. And I have the motion for abatement here, so it's all in one motion. If we abate, we do everything when we approve this levy recommendation, correct?
So last year, I think we did the levy separate from the abatement.
From the abatement?
It's not an agenda item, so I can't,
It was all together last year.
we had it all together, but still did them separately?
Yes, ma'am.
We can disapprove it and accept the resolution.
Yeah,
I
we
would
can,
say, yeah. Yeah.
let's bundle it and we do it if we have to.
Mhm.
Okay, because otherwise you can't do it. But you get the levy done. Okay, so this, just to understand, it's for the abatement and the levy that's all approved all at one time. Do I have a motion for that?
Or we'll say the levy, which includes the abatement, as presented at the last.
That is true.
So move.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have 2 seconds. Second. Any questions or comments? Good, I have a comment. I was looking at the money that that is garnered through the levy of funds to the district, and if it actually is it's comforting that it's kind of consistent the last few years. It isn't like, oh my God, you guys are, because I have a tax bill like everybody else, okay? And we are a major hunk of the tax bill, okay? So, and trust me, my ear it listens to this all the time. So, therefore, we need to spend prudently and judiciously, and not ask for, like, an undue burden. So I like the idea that it isn't a constant. It isn't like we've gotten a lot more money, like 20% more money in the last couple of years. It's been pretty constant as the burden for our taxpayers. So just a comment on that. That's why I could go with what you're going to have to say. So I think this is.
And remember, because we refunded the bonds, it will actually decrease. So that was the purpose of the refinancing last year. We'll recognize that this year. So it'll be about $1 million less than that we'll realize in revenue. But we had prepared for that. And that's because we refinanced the bonds.
See, so it sounds even better. And I got it. Okay, any other questions or comments? Seeing none? Roll call vote, please. On the levy, and, okay, this is on the,
Which includes an abatement.
yeah, and which includes the abatement. Thank you.
Elder Park,
Yes.
Mr. Powers,
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Easley,
Yes.
Mrs. Schrader,
Yes.
Pastor Lewis,
Yes.
Dr. Atkins.
Yes, motion passes 7-0. Thank you very much. Informational items?
I have one more, I have
She has the,
Oh,
Higher education.
oh, I'm sorry. Oh,
cars.
I'm right past you. I'm ending the meeting. Let's do some driver's ed. Let's buy some cars.
So I have a question. So we are not abating the taxes?
We are.
We need to read that resolution.
He cannot.
We cannot?
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. All right, driver's ed vehicles. Last year, we extended the lease for the driver's ed vehicles due to the lack of bids submitted at the time. This year, we received bids from 2 vendors, Carmack and Courtesy Ford. However, Courtesy Ford did not give us a bid for a lease. They gave us a bid for the purchase of 2 sport SUVs. So they did not follow the bid specifications. I am recommending today that the board enter into an agreement with Carmack Honda to lease 3 vehicles for 3 years. And due to the production delays with vehicle manufacturing, they will not be 3 of the same vehicles as they have been in the past. There will be 2 Honda Civic LXs and 1 Honda Civic Sport.
I move approval.
Thank you.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments on our new vehicle purchase?
So what difference does it make?
In the vehicles,
Uh-huh.
he said it's a sportier Honda Civic. They're not gonna have another, he checked, they won't have another Honda Civic LX before February.
So,
Like, they're just waiting for them to come. They were supposed to come in. They're just
no,
not
I'm
here
just
yet.
looking at, the safety of new drivers. I mean,
Well, and we will still have like the extra brake.
okay, that's. That's what we sure. I wanna be sure.
But I do want to add
Kids
that
out here.
our district has a history of leasing these vehicles. And traditionally, districts do buy them. All of our neighbors, and particularly our LUDA districts, they simply buy their cars. And so we didn't change anything in the district's practice. But I do want to say it's not what is normally done, which is probably why Honda, or who was it? Courtesy went ahead and submitted a purchase bid, because that's probably more traditional, but it's not what we do here at Danville District 118.
And we'll think about that. Okay? 'Cause
I mean,
cars for kids.
why is it our preference to lease instead of the purchase?
That practice predates me, so I don't know the history.
And have we looked at the difference in deterioration of price as in the lease? You say 3 years?
Yes, ma'am.
So in 3 years, if the amount that these cars, we would trade back in, right?
Which that's been the practice. So we basically driver's ed gets new vehicles every 3 years, yes.
Okay, so the price that have we looked at the price that when we turn them back in and lease again in comparison to buying? That's the question.
We haven't.
Not to you, but,
No, I did not.
We haven't, but it's something that I put on the table for Ms. Rankin to, I didn't understand our practice. I
Well,
don't know.
leasing's always more expensive, so there has to be some other reason that they've done it. Maybe we could figure out what that reason
Yeah.
was. Is there somebody that's a historian that knows?
I'm sure we could get some information.
Yep, but we
But
won't
we'll-
know now. But
but
we'll
we'll do
we'll
it-
look into that and get you
Yeah.
back, we'll get a question.
Because we need
answer
cars
back to you.
for January, but
Yeah.
we'll do a cost analysis and comparison.
Right now, we'll guess, and that doesn't help you. So, so we'll look into that and see why and if it's still the best practice. But right now, on the table, we have what's in front of us, and we have a motion and a second. If there aren't any other further questions or comments, I'll have a roll call vote, please, for the lease of driver's ed vehicles. Okay? Roll call vote, please. Thank you.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, motion passes 7-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now we have some cars for a couple of years. Informational items.
Can I merge with comments?
Yes, do whatever you like. Take
Thank you.
personal freedom. Merry Christmas.
I did want to say thank you to Vermillion County Chevrolet for their donation. Anthony, I know I give you a hard time. You really came through this time for the Mead Park family. I guess I'll stop calling you trouble. Congratulations to our students at Danville High School for the Honors Assembly. We had a student in crisis, and I had to take her to the hospital, but thank you so much, Ms. Cherry, phenomenal job, packed. I do know going forward with the amount of people we've had at our activities and the problems that we have had with our adults following the rules and keeping the masks on, it is becoming a situation. It is becoming a security issue, and so we will have to examine our practices going forward. Bring that to the board because we have had some serious situations where police have had to be called over adults following the rules given to us. And so we just can't continue that way. So we'll be looking at our practices going forward. I want to thank you to the staff. Ooh, we made it, 10 days. 2 more, y'all, 2 more. I'm so proud of you. When everyone else said that we would be closed, well, here we are. And so, I'm grateful for all that you did to make that happen and make it so that we could still be here for our students. I wholeheartedly appreciate you. I want you to have the best holiday ever. But let me jump back. Miss Cherry and Jacob Brett's phenomenal job on your Viking Roundtable. Mr. Brett's really did shine. Thank you to the DHS Safety Committee. And I look forward to the presentation from Northridge. But again, to the teaching, administrative, and support staff, thank you for your resilience as we navigated the staff shortages, the COVID challenges, the transportation challenges, the food shortages, having to close the pre-K and transition into remote. I appreciate all that you guys have done to make that happen. Our District 118 staff deserves the most relaxing break ever, particularly this year. And I just wanted to let you know I appreciate you. And then I'm supposed to say the angel. Oh, thank you for all the donations for the angel tree to make that a success for our students. I do appreciate all that you've done to make sure that our students had what they need. I really do appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you. From the left tonight. At the end, any comment?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Askin. I just want to say to Ms. Cherry and her committee, I applaud you for the work you've done because prior to my coming on the board and having conversations with people in the community, that was one of the biggest issues that had to do with the safety of not only your staff, but the teachers as well as the students. And so again, I applaud you for the work that you've done, and I would say to you, continue doing such great work because you make us proud of what you guys have been able to accomplish. And so, in words of the Baptist preacher, praise God from whom all blessings flow. And Merry Christmas to you all too, and to our board.
Thank you.
I would just too like to thank Mrs. Cherry and the committee, as we are noticing throughout our country. It just really concerns me for our students, what they are facing, just the thoughts and the possibilities of an issue. And so I'm really, again, with everybody else, very thankful for your efforts to, as much as possible, reassure our students and the parents and the community that we're doing everything we can as a school district to prepare our students for as much as possible for them to be safe. And so again, thank you so much. And again, to all of our board tonight, thank you for everything that you also do, what we all do to try to support everything we can to make sure our students are safe. And again, Merry Christmas to everybody.
Thank you, sir.
I would like to extend congratulations to the Danville High School music department on some very, very good concerts. The Madrigal Dinner, the holiday concert. We sure have a lot of talent, and they make us shine. Those kiddos and teachers really bring a lot of pride to the school and to our community. So I just want to say thank you. I also wanted to say that we talk often of the burden of COVID and loss of staff and what we have to do to make up for that. But I would like to take a little different turn and say that I wish all those people who've been affected by COVID, they or their family members, I wish them well, I wish them health, and know that we're thinking about you. And we hope this break, everybody stays in their house and gets rid of this virus. But I just want to say that we do think about you, and we think about your health, and we appreciate all that you do for the district. And again, extend happy holidays to all of the staff and the community.
Thank you. Mr. Houston?
Well, I thank Dr. Geddes for helping to get me orientation as a new board member, me and Elder Parks, but also want to thank Ms. Robinson for helping get me in over to see Liberty. I got to see some amazing students over there. That was actually the first time I was in that building with Ms. Simon. Just really a great place. I think that we have great staff, really smart kids. It was really good to see. I got to be with Ms. Zaire in Garfield. And that was the first time I was in that building, and I got to tour around there. And just some, again, really dedicated staff. I can't thank you enough. I really think Danville is a great place to live. I hope people move here, help us build back some of these buildings we're tearing down. I just think you're doing great work. Those kids there are Southview as well. Miss Prunkard, thank you. I've gotten to be Southview a lot because my kids were there, and then Mark Denman, Miss Zollers, really great staff there too. I'm learning a lot, so if I'm asking questions, just know I'm just learning. So that my motive is to help our kids as best we can. So thank you.
I would just like to say thank you to Dr. Geddes. You're right. These teachers have been through a lot this semester. I would just like to thank the Southwest Pre-K teachers. Going virtual with Pre-K ain't no fun. I want y'all to know that. And to have two different teachers, but two different phenomenal teachers. I would like to say to Ms. Wright and Ms. Duffin, you have put out information, extra YouTube. I've never knew so much stuff was on YouTube. And there is an ABC dance number on that YouTube that my twins love. And so I just want to say that for us new parents and grandparents that are going through this, you have been a blessing. You really have. We can send them emails. I don't know how to do Dojo, so they'll just accept my text message or email. But I just want to say that there's been a lot of parents on been asking a lot of questions. And I just want to say, for the immediate time that you had to put this together and rise to the occasion, I applaud you. You have taken the interests of those little kids at hand, and you're doing the best that you can. So I think that people need to know when they're doing a good job. And for all the district staff, like Dr. Geddes said, this has been a semester that we didn't know how it was going to work, but you have been and done a yeoman's job. Ms. Hightower, I say to you and the DEA, kudos.
I wanted to just congratulate the schools on the creativity that you have used especially over the last month, to be able to connect with families, to be able to have safe programs. I mean, the things that we used to be able to kind of take for granted. A couple of years ago, Mr. Hart and I were at every elementary Christmas program. We just made the rounds, and it's just not that, it wasn't safe to do that this year, for me. And it kind of broke my heart a little bit, but I knew that you were still providing that experience for the children and their families. And you did it and every building did it a little bit differently. And you were very creative, and we're always hearing about the things that you're doing to make connections for our kids and help bring those parents into that educational experience. And that is such a challenge, and it goes beyond. We're not worried about the testing scores when you do that. You're actually looking at what it takes to make the educational experience something that is robust for our kids and lasting, and to encourage those family bonds. And I thank you for that, because it's not easy and you don't always get to see it. So for those of you, the principals that come and tell us what you're doing, please keep bragging on your teachers and your kids, because we want to hear about it. And the kids deserve it. And you all need a huge break, a great big hug, and some nice fuzzy slippers. We hope that you get rested and restored during this break. We are so grateful that you have sacrificed so much for the students and the families that have been entrusted to your care. So thank you very much. And I just wanted to also say Merry Christmas, everyone. Happy holidays. Celebrate safely and just be filled with joy.
And before you move from this side, I forgot to mention KDBA, Ms. Campbell. I didn't know credit recovery program existed till she showed that to me. I just think that's wonderful. I mean, really, that's great. And, I'd never been in that building either. So for people in the community, KDBA is actually really, that's a really bright spot over there. It sounds like I'm just like positive and Pollyannish, but I really, really great. So thank you.
I agree. Anyway, to keep this brief, because we all want to go home, because we have only a couple days left of this year. So Merry Christmas to you all. Thank you for a half of a year. You're almost there. Like she said, 2 days. And it's the half the year. I didn't think we'd be here this quickly. I don't know about you guys. This has flown by, but I'm glad to see it. I hope we get through the second half of the year. You guys have overcome the obstacles. Thank you, DEA. Really. We've done, we have some moments, but we've really come along. I think we've done great. So I look forward to the second half also. Music programs were great. I agree. It was really fun to see how the holiday programs were awesome. But you all know that because you all seen them. So that's fine. So Mary.
Let's say to the CTE.
Say it.
Oh, to the Danville DHS CTE program, thank you so much. Job well done. Appreciate you. Yes.
Very cool.
Career and technical education program.
And how about this? Thanks to anybody who's given us anything. Thank you very much. I'm going to cover you all because I'm going to maybe miss something. With that, we are adjourned. Thank you very much, and have a very, very Merry Christmas.
Career and technical education.
I was gonna say,